at 10, the storms are behind us, but what is coming in is much cooler and wet. We'll talk about the weekend forecast.
Tonight, cleanup just beginning as the storms leave behind a path of destruction. And the state's second largest prison is shutting down permanently. A remorseful mother's warning.
I deserve where I am right now. I deserve to be in prison.
As KARE 11 investigates fentanyl's youngest victims.
KARE 11 News at 10 starts now.
Well, as Belle mentioned, right now the severe weather is behind us, but this afternoon, reports of multiple tornadoes rolling through our area. Incredible video coming into the newsroom, including this video from Hammond in St. Croix County, Wisconsin. A massive tornado in New Richmond also caught on camera, where one family tells us that storm destroyed their barn. And in Eau Claire, Wisconsin, large hail smashed windshields out of cars. Reports there that the hail was baseball size. At this hour, that has all moved out of our area, but the cleanup will just be getting started. Our weather impact alert for tonight has expired. No word yet on any injuries associated with this storm. Let's head out to Belle in the backyard with a look at this very active evening. Belle?
It was, my goodness, it started at about 1:30 this afternoon with a tornado, a rope tornado, a small tornado near Benson, Minnesota, and then wrapped up at about 4:30 with that hail in Eau Claire. Pretty remarkable. The storms moved north and there wasn't damage to the north except for some tree damage. I did see a number of areas in the northwest sector of the state that did have some tree damage from the winds, and the winds were blustery behind the system. We're now sitting at 61, temperatures in the 50s up to the north, and you can see the rain just wrapping around us. We will dip to 55 in the morning with a windy night, and of course the sunset at 8:36. So what we anticipate is all of this has to come through before it is going to clear out. So tomorrow will be one of those cooler days with off and on showers and windy conditions. Temperatures only reaching the 50s tomorrow. And when it comes to storm reports, these are all the tornado reports that we did have in Wisconsin and in Minnesota, and then a number of hail reports. And then that is all the wind damage that I mentioned off in the northwest sector of the state. And then, of course, that very large hail in Eau Claire. Quite a day here in the Twin Cities. And as Ben mentioned earlier, when you have a heat wave that lasts that long, it's going to end on a noisy note. And that's exactly what happened today. Now we have a much different weather pattern settling in.
We're happy to hear it. That was a lot this afternoon. And take a look at this new video from New Richmond, Wisconsin. A tornado caught on camera tearing across fields there, leaving behind a path of destruction. Raya Katene is live in New Richmond, where she spoke with a family impacted by the storm. Hi, Raya.
Hey, Julie, tonight we're really in the heart of New Richmond, where things mostly appear to be back to normal. But we know this was a fast moving system, and those who are directly in the path of impact are now left picking up the pieces.
You know, this has happened to other people. Now this is, I guess, was our turn. Yeah. Don't wish it on anybody. That's for sure.
Direct hit.
Staying alive is all Jeff Hogden could think about as the tornado ripped through his backyard in St. Croix County, just south of New Richmond.
I was in this truck. I had just driven it into the barn, and no more than 10 seconds I heard this huge rush of wind behind me.
This is what took our barn down.
Jeff capturing this video as soon as he knew he's safe.
You know, good news is our campers looks okay, and our house looks okay.
Mere seconds is all it took for the twister to leave a narrow yet clear path of destruction, taking with it
Greenhouse is gone, feed shed's gone, a bunch of trees are gone, the pole barn's gone, chicken coop's gone. I think most of them have passed or had died. So just a lot of stuff.
Picking up the pieces will have to wait.
We'll start working on it tomorrow. I think today is just one to get a hold of family and making sure everyone knows that we're okay.
But as the sun begins to peek through once again, so too do some slivers of hope.
I see some live birds. They're on the outside or inside?
For now, Jeff says he's just grateful to be alive.
It's still kind of all overwhelming. But we'll get it done and start over whatever we need to start over. Come on, bird.
Still a long road ahead for those folks. Thankfully, Jeff and his wife Terry weren't hurt in any of this, but I will say I spoke to the St. Croix County Chief Deputy just over an hour ago. He tells me at this point in time he cannot confirm if there were any injuries reported associated with this severe weather that rolled through. Of course, we'll continue checking in on that. But for now, I'll send things back to you, Julie.
Yeah, it's so overwhelming. Your heart goes out to that gentleman who lost so much in that storm. Thank you, Raya. Well, tonight, lots of folks in Wisconsin are still in the dark. At this hour, there are nearly 62,000 power outages statewide. In St. Croix County, where we know that tornado moved through, there are just over 1,000 outages. Most of them are in the southeastern part of the state in Milwaukee, Racine, and Kenosha counties. On severe weather days like today, make sure you have the KARE 11 Plus app, where you can get extended weather coverage, live radar, and all our newscasts. Just download the app for your TV, and you can watch for free. While we were getting severe weather in the metro, the rain offered some much needed relief for firefighters in the northern part of the state.
I'm Ian Russell in Brimson, Minnesota, where finally some much needed rain, as you can see, is coming down right now. We're not far down the road from the Camp House fire, one of those 3 fires in northeastern Minnesota that's burned thousands of acres up here. So obviously all this rain is a huge help in those firefighting efforts. The weather is going to be a huge thing to keep in mind here, with some lightning coming as well as these storms kind of move through the area. There's also a press conference tomorrow morning at 9:45 where some state officials are going to talk about this firefighting response. We'll be there bringing you the latest on air and online on KARE 11.
Well, just in tonight, the FBI says they're investigating former FBI Director James Comey. In a now deleted post on Instagram, Comey shared a picture of a shell formation on a beach that formed the numbers 8647, something Republican lawmakers and Trump allies say insinuates targeting President Trump. 86 can mean get rid of, and Trump is the 47th president. Comey said he opposes violence of any kind, so he took down the post. FBI Director Kash Patel says they are aware of the post and are in communication with the Secret Service to provide all necessary support. One of the biggest prisons in Minnesota will soon close. Today, state officials announced plans to shutter the Stillwater prison, citing rising costs to maintain the century-old building. Joe McCoy has the latest.
Inside the 111-year-old walls of the Stillwater prison sit nearly 1,200 inmates and 560 staff members, all of whom will leave this place a ghost town by June of 2029.
The conditions within Stillwater have deteriorated to a point that compromises its safety, efficiency, and operational integrity.
Department of Corrections Commissioner Paul Schnell says legislative leaders, along with Governor Walz, agreed on a phased closure of the facility. A facility that has $180 million in deferred maintenance needs and would cost $1.3 billion to fully modernize or replace, according to Schnell.
We simply cannot continue to throw good money after bad.
On hot summer days, temperatures inside the prison can reach well over 100 degrees, and fans are the only remedy.
The first concern we had was being completely blindsided today.
Bart Anderson is the executive director of AFSCME Council 5. The labor union represents correctional officers and some prison maintenance staff throughout the state.
People don't know if they're going to have to uproot their families, sell their houses, move across the state to an open facility where a position may or may not be available.
The DOC says inmates will be relocated over the next 4 years to one of the other 9 male facilities in Minnesota. Some staff at Stillwater will be reassigned within the DOC, while others may lose their job.
Let's come up with creative alternatives, because we don't believe this needs to happen right now.
AFSCME Council 5 is holding a press conference Friday to demand the phased closure be halted. At Stillwater Prison, Joe McCoy, KARE 11 News.
The Department of Corrections says no inmates will have reduced sentences. Talks have not yet begun on what will happen with the building or the 100 acres of land it sits on once it's closed. Well, in the last hour, a very busy stretch of highway in the southeast metro has closed for the weekend for road construction. In Inver Grove Heights, a stretch of 494 is now closed in both directions between Blaine Avenue and Babcock Trail as crews redeck the Highway 52 bridge. Both of those highways are expected to open on early Monday morning. Tonight at the Capitol, lawmakers are one step closer to a budget agreement, but the chances for a special session continue to grow tonight. Today, DFL and Republican lawmakers announced the budget framework, calling for significant cuts to transportation and health and human services. Lawmakers on both sides say those cuts are needed to make a dent in the $6 billion deficit projected in the next 2 years. Meanwhile, compromises are being forged on issues like paid family leave, summer unemployment for school workers, and state health care for undocumented Minnesotans.
We are as evenly divided as any state in the history of our country has been, and here we stand with a deal.
In this division in the legislature, so closely divided that we have agreed to do what is best for Minnesotans.
Today, some DFL lawmakers pounded on the doors of the press conference and vowed not to vote for part of the bill that strips taxpayer-funded health care from adults who are here illegally, but leaves it in place for children. The legislative session ends on Monday. Still ahead, a new way to pay for your Costco haul. We'll be right back.
KARE 11 investigates the stunning toll of fentanyl on Minnesota's youngest victims.
I'm going to have to live with this the rest of my life.
The red flags missed and a mother's plea from prison. Next.